In this video I'm showing you the tips for the Yamane technique in cases of IOL sulcus instability. This case was a case of good capsular support, but the lens was a Zeiss CT Lucia 202, which has the PVDF haptics that are quite good for Yamane, but not that good for sulcus placement. And this lens was initially at 3.9, but it moved and displaced to 6.12. So I'm converting the lens to Yamane. I'm moving the lens from the over the capsular bag to behind it. So first I'm burying the first haptic into the needle. You see these haptics are quite easy and soft and flexible, so it is quite easy to take them out with the needle. It is taken out and the flange tip created, and now I'm creating the second one. Since I took out first the first haptic, the lens now it's moved through the 3.9 meridian, so it is much more difficult to bury the second haptic. So, but however, with this kind of lenses with PVDF haptics, everything is allowed despite the stress at the optic-haptic junction and the bending of the tips. Nothing is going to happen, so you can do it. You can take the first haptic and then the second one, but you cannot do this with the PMMA IOLs, because you are at high risk of breaking the haptics. I'm checking the periphery, it was right, and I'm finishing the case. Fortunately, the case went well, and the lens was super stable and protected by the capsular bag. This was the second case. It was a case in which the surgeon tried to place a PMMA haptics 3-piece IOL, but because of this defect in the capsule and sonul inferiorly, the lens migrated into the vitreous cavity. So when the sonula and the capsular and the anterior capsule is interrupted inferiorly, it might happen. And in this case, I'm converting the technique and fixing this 3-piece IOL with PMMA haptics to the Yamane technique behind the capsular remnants. I'm leaving the capsular remnants because they help to prevent the UGH syndrome, and it is much more biocompatible. So after performing a complete vitrectomy and letting the lens fall behind after protecting the macula with viscoelastic, I'm implanting the lens. It is key to create the scleral tunnels. And the scleral tunnels, to be well created, they should be 2 millimeters long. And you can tell it is a good tunnel when you move the needle inside and the sclera bends. If the sclera bends, you have a good tunnel. You should grasp the haptics, the superior one from the convexity and the inferior one from the concavity. And in the vitreous cavity, you can bury the haptic into the needle much easier. Since this lens is PMMA, I'm keeping the first needle inside to keep the lens into the working position at 6.12. Otherwise, you will stress the lens a lot. Now I'm burying the second haptics into the needle, and in this case, probably I should have taken out both haptics to reduce the optic-haptic stress, but I decided to take first one of the haptics and then the second one. This way you stress the optic-haptic junction a lot, but you do not have the risk of internal migration of the haptic if you have an early release. So you can see the stress, but fortunately it was not enough to disconnect the haptic from the optic, and the lens was nicely positioned and protected from the iris rubbing with the capsular remnants. So these two videos shows you that not always having partial capsular support is enough to place an IOL into the sulcus, and sometimes despite having a good capsular support, if you have a flexible IOL, it is not stable either. So in these cases you can fix it with the Yamane technique.